Viewers, Donald Trump, as you're aware, is under pressure domestically. His approval ratings are not quite good. The Supreme Court rap on the tariff policy. And all of that has forced Donald Trump to do what you're seeing on your screen. 8 hours ago, Americans and Israelis joined hands to launch what they believe, or what they have called it, preemptive airstrikes on Iran. Iran has responded in equal measure by attacking air bases, US air bases in the Middle East. We have put together a wonderful panel that will break things down for you. But before we go any further, I want to play out what Donald Trump said.
They've rejected every opportunity to renounce their nuclear ambitions, and we can't take it anymore. Instead, they attempted to rebuild their nuclear program and to continue developing long-range missiles that can now threaten our very good friends and allies in Europe, our troops stationed overseas, and could soon reach the American homeland. To the members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, the armed forces, and all of the police, I say tonight that you must lay down your weapons and have complete immunity, or, in the alternative, face certain death. So, lay down your arms. You will be treated fairly with total immunity, or you will face certain death. Finally, to the great proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. Stay sheltered. Don't leave your home. It's very dangerous outside. Bombs will be dropping everywhere. When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably your only chance for generations. For many years, you have asked for America's help, but you never got it. No president was willing to do what I am willing to do tonight. Now you have a president who is giving you what you want. So let's see how you respond. America is backing you with overwhelming strength and devastating force. Now is the time to seize control of your destiny and to unleash the prosperous and glorious future that is close within your reach. This is the moment for action. Do not let it pass.
This is the moment for action. Do not let it pass, says the US President. Let me open this up. RSN Singh, Abhijit Iyer Mitra, Sushil Pandit, Nikhil Jain, Tehseen Poonawala, Professor Atikur Rahman, Srinjoy Chaudhary here in the studio. Abhijit, you know, as we speak, reports indicate that the Iranian defense minister has been taken out.
Look, that's what Reuters, the Israeli sources have told Reuters, that both the defense minister and the head of the IRGC, General Pakpour, have been taken out, and Azim Nasirzadeh, the head, the defense minister. More interestingly, they're claiming whispers that Khamenei was either very badly injured or killed earlier this morning. We've seen the photos, the New York Times photo of his residence being completely bombed out. Now, we need to contextualize this in terms of what the Israeli ministers are saying on TV. They have said that they're getting rid of the religious, the military, the judicial leadership, past, present, and future, quote unquote, which means what? That the regime's ability to replace and sustain the leadership will be eroded. This isn't just military targeting like they did last time. They are going in for some kind of regime change. I feel that is not possible. It is wishful thinking, and I think it is completely unethical for, to ask people to rise and face bullets with some vague promise that you're going to help them, when in fact you have absolutely no ground troops around or anything to support them going up against the regime. That's what they're trying, because if you heard Trump's speech carefully, he said, we're not going to do the regime change. We're going to eliminate the leadership, and they expect the people to be doing the regime changing. What exactly are the people going to be fighting with? Stones, rocks, ground forces. They just need one AK-47 to mow down, hundreds of protesters with enough cartridges. Remember, they tried this stunt in Iraq as well when Saddam Hussein was around. They imposed a no-fly zone in the north and the south. And in spite of that ban and a ban on the number of tanks that could go north and south, Saddam Hussein crushed the Shia rebellion in the south and he crushed the Kurdish rebellion in the north. I feel it is completely unethical, but well, they're doing what they're doing. That's it.
Colonel RSN?
Well, if you ask me, will the regime change take place? Certainly. I always felt that, this war was not imminent, it was certain. The way, forces were deployed and the way the aircraft carrier groups had moved, so it was certain. Precision-guided munitions, targeted killings. Remember, it was 8 months ago that that 12 days war was had taken place, and the Iranian capability, whatever it had, was substantially degraded. Both America and Israel feel that this is an opportunity which should not be wasted, because economically Iran is shattered. In military-wise, its capabilities is totally degraded. Now, what is Pranesh? You said that his ratings and all. Yes, that may be the reason. But the main issue why they want regime change and why they have gone in such a massive action against Iran is one, petrodollars. Abhijit knows very well about it, and the second is that they certainly will not have, we cannot be, as per the Americans cannot, and the Israelis, they cannot be allowed to develop nuclear weapons capability. Remember one thing, and I ask everybody to ponder over this, that Israel and Pakistan, both were created for certain strategic reasons. Suez Canal was one of them, and if you see the map, you should ask the question, what if Israel had not existed? So, a nuclear bomb or a nuclear weapon is just a big no as far as Israel and the Americans are concerned. It was very certain that action will take place because this is in wake of the talks. I knew that the talks will fail. I also knew that Khamenei, he will never agree to any sort of meltdown as far as the nuclear issue is concerned, because if he did that, his credibility would be lost. But I don't know. I mean, from the Western press or the other media, I agree that there is fear amongst the people of Israel, but there is also a sense of relief amongst some people, a segment of the population, because they feel that the Islamic dictatorship has given them nothing except for wars. 3 wars since 1979, 10, Iran-Iraq war, which decimated the entire Iranian youth, so much so that boys were just not available for marriage. That was the situation. And then, this is the third war that Iranians this regime has taken. That's what they think. So we are cusp of a big change, in the Middle East politics. Not only in terms of petrodollars, not only in terms of the geopolitics of the region, but also in terms of theocracy.
We'll talk about that. Colonel RSN, I want to, talk about theocracy also, but very quickly respond to what Abhijit says. He says this is unethical. Just on that point.
Yeah, of course it is unethical. But since when Americans or America has bothered about, ethics?
Right. Okay. Sushil
ये तो
Pandit,
भाई,
for whatever it's worth,
उस country को तो माफी
UN Security Council will convene for emergency session. The United Nations, the joke that it is, uh, wastage of money, time, everything else serves no purpose.
True, Pranesh. We are witness to some very profound developments today, and this is going to, as Colonel RSN Singh said, lead to some huge changes, some deep changes in the region and the geopolitics and the relationships. Also impact economy, also impact politics. Peace and stability can never be overstated or exaggerated. The need for both is immense, especially in this world. But having stated that, you have to take into consideration what forms the basis of this peace. Israel and US have found and have come to a conclusion that mere tinkering with the capability of a regime like the Iranian regime, whether they're centrifuges, whether they're missile launches, whether their capability to sustain terror groups, whether their economic might, all of it tinkered to an extent, sanctions to some extent, bombing of sites and facilities to some extent may help temporarily. But so long as this regime is in place, it will replenish whatever you degrade over a period of time, probably sooner than you think. Which is why they have come to a conclusion that regime change has to happen for a long-term abiding, as long as they can manage, abiding stability and peace. So perhaps you need to see this action in light of that kind of peace and that kind of stability. Otherwise, this region, impacted by the Ayatollah regime in Iran, was constantly on the edge, constantly dangling between a very precarious peace and stability. And with Houthis and Hezbollah and Hamas constantly being armed to the deprivation of their own population, Iranian population, this region was constantly on the boil. So I see hope in this regime change and some kind of stability coming to the region by eliminating the Ayatollahs from Iran. And having said so, I feel this time US and Israel will not back off from achieving this objective. Yes, this fear is right that the unarmed civilian population of Iran cannot be expected to offer themselves as cannon fodder in their pursuit of regime change. And therefore, as the situation evolves, we cannot second guess what Trump or Netanyahu
you don't see
may have.
Israel and America backing off, then we are looking at, something
Troops on
which
the
would,
ground.
troops on the ground.
No, you must understand one thing. Today, already, just an hour ago, Saudi Arabia has said that they are going to join action with America. The other Arab states who feel that they have been unfairly targeted will become a coalition. And don't underestimate, Pakistan has been lured into this already. And if the eastern flank of Iran is leveraged from Pakistani air bases, then you will see a much more comprehensive action on ground. And if they truly degrade this regime's ability to survive, if they truly dismantle the top leadership, decapitate them, and their ability to even put a resistance, chances are it will implode. Chances are the will to fight within the IRGC will deplete substantially, and therefore it will lead to a vacuum which then can be filled.
But what will it take, Abhijit, what Sushil Pandit is saying, what will it take to achieve that?
Listen, in the Iran-Iraq war, they lost somewhere between 6 to 8 lakh people. This is not a country that's going to roll over and, just die. Second, we need to remember this country. This is not Iraq, which is flat desert in the main hinterland. This is a very hilly, mountainous country. People think of it as a desert. Yes, it is. But it's a high desert. It's 1.6 million square kilometers. It's half the size of India. I'm not seeing how this happens. But this is just a difference of opinion. The Iranians don't just roll over and die, as we've seen several times over. You know, for them to have converted absolute isolation in the 1980s into, you know, a sort of what was called the Shia arc, the Shia crescent.
Right.
And literally take the threat to Israel's own doorstep. To Saudi Arabia's doorstep via Yemen and things like that, instigating, rebellion in Bahrain, which has a Shia majority, by the way. I don't think it's that easy, but look, that's just an opinion.
Yes, Sushil Pandit.
Make one point here. Abhijit, please do consider that when Iran faced the war from Iraq imposed that war on Iran, the Islamic Revolution was barely 3-4 years old. The entire population of Iran hadn't turned against its own ayatollahs. They were steeped in fervor of patriotism and defending their country. This is not the 80s. This is not the Iran of 80s where everyone was willing to lay down their life in defending Iran. They had just gotten rid of Shah. Today you have a population which is sick and tired of ayatollahs. They are not willing to fight for them. And hence, this Iran is far, far more vulnerable. Yes, Abhijit.
So I've been to Iran some 7 times. I have family that lives there in Tajrish and Shemiran and Kashan. This popular resentment, I'm not buying it. It exists in, you know, the drug-fueled upper class, their version of Amrita Sher Gilma, Prithviraj Road, Malabar Hills, what have you. The general population, it does not. There is frequent resentment when the prices go up and when the economy and things go down, of course. But to translate that into resentment against the government to the extent that you support a foreigner. Iranians are very proud people. They're very nationalist people, you know. They won't turn on their government when a foreigner is involved. Number one. And even my friends living in those posh areas, unfortunately, yes, they're all the Malabar Hills, Prithviraj Road types. Even them, the anger right now is immense. And these are people who will eat pork, who will wear short skirts, go topless in a beach in Italy and things like that. They are angry. They are nowhere with the US or Israel on this, number one. Number two, we also need to remember how quickly Khomeini lost support of the people. He carried out vicious purges during the Iran-Iraq war. Tens of thousands of people were killed in 83. Another tens of thousands of people, the prison massacres and things happened in 1987 and things like that. When the war was nowhere near the end. You know, 3/4 of the Iranian Air Force pilots and leadership had been killed in purges. It was almost exactly what Stalin had done to his own army, navy and air force before the Germans invaded. But they didn't turn on their government. I think we're misreading the situation there very badly.
I think, after the Malabar Hill, Prithviraj Road example, you have Sushil Pandit convinced now. That was some real comprehensive commentary on what's going on. Tehseen, it's strange that look at the geopolitical development and you have the Congress party blaming Prime Minister Modi for this.
Pranish, good evening. Thank you so much for having me on the show. At the onset, I agree with what Abhijit Iyer Mitra is saying. No regime change in the world, and Abhijit can correct me on this, has ever happened without putting boots on the ground. And I don't think right now the US or Israel can put boots on the ground. I don't think that's going to happen. Number two, I do agree with Abhijit. It's very unfair to expect all regime changes in Iran have happened with people doing the revolution. But right now, I think there is a solidarity of Iranians with Iran, because a lot of Iranians who are friends of mine who live in India, all of them, while they don't like the regime, they also believe that, this is being unfair. Iran was trying to negotiate. So there is a sort of nationalism fever that's taken over, which had this not happened, I think a regime change would have happened naturally. Number three, before I come to it, I think India is in a very delicate position. While US and Israel are friends of ours, and I see a lot of chatter on X cheering Israel and US. And look, I like Israel and US. The fact is, how are we going to access Central Asia? How are we going to access Afghanistan if Iran shuts down, Iranian skies shut down? What's happening in the Middle East? We have so many Indians in the Middle East. What's the evacuation plan? How do we get them back? All flights have been cancelled. I think we knew that this was going to happen. We knew that that it was a matter of time before US and Israel launched this attack. And I think the Congress, while it may slightly be blaming Prime Minister Modi, I think that's unfair. I do think where this government is answerable is on two fronts. Be it Syria, where we have a very hostile regime to India today. We have a refinery in Syria, 4,000 Indians today. Or what is going to happen in Iran and subsequently the Middle East. What is our plan B? This government is always reactive. We never have a plan B in advance. And that is the problem with this government. I'll just add one last thing out here. What is our plan B if the Houthis get involved, if Red Sea is choked, if that spills over into the Indian Ocean? We don't have a plan B. This government is great on bluster, great on rhetoric, but do we have a plan B? So I think things like this, I think those are legitimate criticisms by the opposition. But the most important is, how does India access Central Asia and Afghanistan without Iranian skies?
Now, Atikur Rahman, before I come to you, here are two quick updates, viewers. Pakistan, for, whatever it's worth, Pakistan now wants to help ensure peace. We heard the Deputy Prime Minister first backing the Iranians. Now the Prime Minister there, Shahbaz Sharif, has woken up. He's spoken to Mohammed bin Salman. So obviously you will bow down to the patron, the country that gives money to Pakistan every 3 months. So the Pakistani is now obviously backing the Saudi Arabia line on this. So, but I don't think we should even consider talking about Pakistan. The other update is about the UN condemning this. Now, if anything, UN should be condemned, because the UN has become so toothless that it does not even know what to do. All that the United Nations does is condemn. Nothing more, nothing less. But Atikur Rahman, my question to you is about Prime Minister Modi's visit to Israel and the larger ecosystem linking his visit to Israel and, blaming him for what the Americans have done to Iran.
No, I do not believe that there is any connection between our Prime Minister's visit to Israel and this flare-up in the Iran region. But very important, points have been made by other panelists. I would like to ponder over that regime change is fundamental. Why a regime change? Because it's a theocratic government, and this theocratic government with a regime change can bring in some stability. Was it true in Iraq? Was it true in Afghanistan? Has it been true in other parts of the world when United States have, dictated its own terms in violation of the UN Charter? Tell me, Pranesh, in the last 10 years, 15 years, and you have an August panel, they can throw light on it. Iran has violated what? UN Charter, and US and Israel has violated what? UN Charter. Today we are talking of bringing stability in the region because the theocratic government wants to have a nuclear weapon. These were the same arguments, Pranesh, when India needed NPT, that no, we are not part of it and we need to have a nuclear weapon. Who is dictating whom and for what? That's a larger question your panel can quantificate.
Nikhil, Congress has said that Modi's new friend Israel is attacking India's old friend Iran. This is needless commentary, at a time like this.
Pranesh, what is the time when the opposition should speak? Because I think every time the opposition speaks, you have a commentary on the opposition that this is not a time to speak. It's an international war, it's an international summit, it's an international visit. The Prime Minister is visiting abroad, the Prime Minister is speaking in Parliament, the Prime Minister is not speaking in Parliament. Whatever the time, you cannot have a single...
No, it's not about the time. Nikhil, calm down. It's what is said and what the opposition does. What does this mean? New friend, old friend, bata dijiye.
Pranesh, can I please complete? I think everybody on the panel, by and large, agrees that neither the American regime, nor the Iranian regime, or the Russian regime, or the Israeli regime really care about democracy, or Muslims, or human rights, or Indians. All that they care about are their own strategic interests, their own petrodollars, their own money, their own trade, and their dominance at the strategic dominance at the international stage. And I think India should do the same. We need our government to look out for our strategic interests and our autonomy. Now, let's not forget, Iran is the country that blocked Pakistan's resolution in the United Nations when Pakistan tried to internationalize the Kashmir issue. Iran helped us with that. Prime Minister Narasimha Rao sent Minister Dinesh Singh and ailing Dinesh Singh, and Iran made sure that the OIC backed US backed OIC, and the resolution being moved through OIC cannot proceed. Now, this is a relationship you've had with Iran. America is the same country that was sending its aircraft carriers to stop us from breaking Pakistan into two when Indira Gandhi and Phil Manekshaw did it. Now, for some reason, our Prime Minister seems to be tilting more towards Israel and to America rather than to Russia and Iran. Now, these are questions, important questions that the government needs to answer. That is it going to stay non-aligned in this? Is it going to take the sides of Israel and US, or is it going to take the side of Iran? Are we going to intervene? What happens to our control over the Chabahar port? Why did our control over the Aini air base in Tajikistan, when it lapsed in 2022, why could the government not renew it?
Okay,
what is the government strategy when it comes to dealing with these very complex issues? It cannot be just condemnations and bluster.
I'll come to
like
you, Sinjor.
already mentioned.
Abhijit is responding to you. Nikhil, calm down.
Can I?
Please.
Okay. Nikhil is right, except he needs to ask himself, why did the government start moving? You know, international relations isn't like some wedding between a boy and a girl. You fall in love, the girl will keep smiting you or whatever, and you have to, it doesn't matter how often Raveena Tandon slaps Shah Rukh Khan will always go out to pataofy her. That is not the way international relations works. Please understand, Iran has gone out of its way to sabotage us in Afghanistan. They have gone out of their way to sabotage us in Tajikistan. I have been to both sides of that road, the highway that we were meant to build from Chabahar to Kabul. The Kabul to end of the Afghan border section is finished. The Iranian section, they did not allow it to complete. They did not allow us to complete it for 10 years. It ends 20 kilometers away from the border, just 20 kilometers, and they would not let us finish it. Because their whole thing was, you will not play your games from here, you will play our games from here. Okay, Chabahar, we have never been able to operationalize it. Every time the West imposed sanctions on them, they would come and say, oh, people to people contact, you produced more Farsi literature than Iran did for 300 years. They'll never talk about Nadir Shah coming and killing 1 lakh citizens in Delhi, of course. Then, when the moment the West lifts sanctions on them, they would then say, who Indians? We don't even know who you are. This is how they are. Okay, they have pursued their own interests. We will pursue our own interest. There is no obligation on our part to, evict them from anything. Now, Israel, on the other hand, has consistently, without conditions, supplied us with weapons. But it is not about love. It is purely self-interest that guides our alignment with Israel and our complete indifference. It is not aligning against Iran. It is indifference on Iran. Third, remember, Iran maintaining the Shia-Sunni split is absolutely crucial for our interests. And Iran has done that very, very well. The point is, you can't allow Iran to go nuclear. So Iran, as far as I'm concerned, needs to be a cooked chicken, not a burnt chicken. As long as it is a cooked chicken, it is a very good chicken. As long as it is roasted in the oven, it is very good. But usko jalne nahi dena chahiye. So it is not in our interest for a power vacuum there to emerge, which A, ameliorates the Shia-Sunni divide, and B, creates a vacuum where Pakistan starts playing trouble and everybody else starts playing trouble.
And which is why, Nikhil, I said, such irresponsible commentary by Congress leaders, certainly does not help the cause of peace or geopolitics. This is just, things, cheap pot shots at Prime Minister Modi. So, let's rise above this, please. As we speak, Iran's foreign minister says that we are ready to de-escalate, but aggression should be stopped first. RSN Singh, how should these signals be read?
No. I mean, they have gone far too long, as far as regime change is concerned. That is definitely, I mean, that will, unless they achieve the same, I don't think there will be any de-escalation. That is one thing for certain. But just think over it. Here is a regime which has got something like palace guards. I'm talking about IRGC, also called Pasdaran. Now, within the armed forces, if you have one privileged armed forces and one less privileged armed forces, the fissure is already there, the divide is already there. And this regime has only, it has been able to establish control over people through IRGC. Just as Pakistan survives today just because of Pakistan military, the regime there survived only on IRGC. So once you have this kind of a divide, intelligence gathering becomes that much easy. Now you said, okay, I agree, people, they all rally behind the regime, etc. But then how are the Israelis gaining such a specific intelligence that you can, just send a drone or kill some Soleimani or a nuclear scientist? How have they targeted this Iranian defense minister? How have they been able to, target this? I'm told that the IRGC commander is also killed with precision, without intelligence. That means people within Iran are supplying intelligence fast and thick. So that is why I don't think, and let me also tell you something. Just 2-3 years back, this Cyrus cylinder, which is touted as the first human rights document, that cylinder has, there are commandments engraved, do's and don'ts engraved in it, was brought to Iran, and you cannot, but so many footfalls. Lakhs of footfalls. That means people are associating religion with this, this regime, and that was the theocratic change I was talking about. Increasingly, the shops are being named after, Zoroastrian. They have Zoroastrian names. Children are being, named, are being given Zoroastrian names. This is happening.
Srinjoy. Tehseen, coming to you right after this.
I just have one question. In recent history, has there been any incident when a large country has had a regime change only through air power? And that's the question I would like to ask. Only through air power. Because I can't think of any. Yes, Sarajevo, there was a lot of use of air power, and it helped matters in some ways, but it didn't lead to regime change. So if anyone can tell me of a case of regime change in a large country of 90 million people or more, only through air power, please let me know.
Okay. Tehseen, you were saying something.
I agree with what Shinjoy and Abhijit said, and I started my opening statement was exactly this to Colonel RSN Singh ji. And sir, thank you for your services, Colonel Saab. Look, no regime change in the world has happened with only air power. You have to put boots on the ground. It is impossible. Now, what Colonel Saab is saying is right. Of course, there is intelligence that Iran and Israel have. They have ground level intelligence. Of course, there are people who are upset. The entire people who were protesting some days ago, which was the Bazaris, Iran and Iranian words and Hindi words are a lot same, were the Bazaris because of the inflation, etc., etc. I agree with all of that. But is that enough to bring a regime change? What the Ayatollah would be hoping is he survives these air attacks by America and Israel. There is some sort of a peace that comes in, and then they continue the regime. The regime continues to govern. But for a serious regime change, without boots on the ground and without people coming on a revolution is not possible. And are the people right now stomaching that? That is the question.
Okay, so let's try and simplify this. Abhijit, why is Trump doing this if he does not want to go the full hog?
Look, it's always a combination of things. He feels it's his legacy, whatever, that he's going to prevent a completely nuclear Iran. He may end up doing that, to be fair to him. The issue has always been, are you going to stop only at a non-nuclear Iran? There were many things that could have been sorted out. So, for example, the Omani foreign minister had tweeted out, in fact, 8 hours before the strikes began, he had got on CNN and said, Iran has agreed to complete denuclearization, complete removal of all fissile material, etc., etc. I think the issue here was that every time Iran has made a deal in the past, Iran has always cheated on it without exception. Even when the JCPOA, which was the Iran nuclear deal, was signed, Israel objected to it on the grounds of the sunset clause, which is it did not contain Iran in perpetuity. Now, understand, in international law, you can never guarantee anything in perpetuity. But even then, if you go look at the timeline, Iran was found cheating on 3 separate occasions in undeclared sites enriching uranium and things like that. Right? They have cheated persistently, consistently over time. And I think it was the end of the tether for them. But again, we need to remember, Pranish, it all comes together. Had you asked me the same question, had it not been for 7th October and the collapse of the Iranian Ring of Fire, I wouldn't have thought that this day would come. 7th October in many ways accelerated a lot of this. And I just want to say Jeffrey Epstein has nothing to do with this. I know somebody is going to bring up this point कि Jeffrey Epstein से divert करने के लिए this is being done. This attack was planned 2-3 months before anybody knew what Jeffrey Epstein and the impact of that pedophile could be.
Okay, let's also talk about Dubai, because I'm sure, Abhijit, you've seen videos emerging from Dubai. Explosion now reported in a posh Dubai locality. In fact, there are multiple videos doing the rounds. If you can, talk us through, Abhijit, do you have more information about this? Is this the Palm Jumeirah? Which part of Dubai is this?
This is close to the Palm Jumeirah, as far as I can tell. I think these are the beachfront apartments out there, very posh apartments. It's fallen somewhere near a shopping mall. If you look at the close-up, I've just tweeted the close-up of the impact zone. This is the central road. Yeah, it is. So seafront and everything. So what has happened out here is we don't know why Dubai was targeted. There is a Emirati airbase, Al Dhafra, where both France and America station their aircraft. But for them to come and hit Dubai of all places, I suspect, it could only be a malfunctioning missile if it wasn't intentional.
Possible a missile would have just gone a different way.
Fallen between.
Yeah.
Okay. And
it's possible.
Yeah, because if you do this deliberately, then there is no point of talking about de-escalation, etc., etc.
I think it's not deliberate because so far Iran hasn't shown that it has been targeting any missiles at non-military installations. That said, remember, ballistic missiles can be, first, they're extremely complex technology, they're very expensive technology, and there is always a high failure rate in them, a higher than normal failure rate, just because of the number of moving parts involved. I would put this down. I don't think it is any solace to people whose businesses burnt down or, God forbid, anyone got killed, but I'm not putting this down to intent.
We'll come to the theocratic, part of what Colonel RSN was saying. But Abhijit, what are the implications that we are looking at, for ordinary people?
My real worry about this, Pranesh, is you weaken the leadership enough, and what you end up doing is creating lots of strongmen competing with each other, and some kind of a nasty state, a murderous, nasty, prolonged, not a civil war, but say a low intensity internal insurgency just lasts and lasts and lasts and lasts and ends up costing a heck of a lot of lives. That really is the danger out here. And in that situation, I can see a whole load of fissile material getting stolen. I can see a whole load of people wanting to come and try, things which would be impossible to control, possibly even impossible to detect. Vacuums are never good. The Americans thought they were getting return on their money, bang for buck, as they call it. When they did Afghanistan, they paid the price on 9/11, didn't they? You wanted to get the Soviets out of Afghanistan, you destroyed a functional state. Look what you got. If you destroy a functional state, nothing good comes out of it. Nothing good came out of destroying Libya. Nothing good is coming out of Syria. I don't know why the Americans don't get this, because Trump is making the same mistake. He's hiding it under the fact that he's not going to send ground troops.
Okay.
But honestly, very, very stupid thing to do.
Sushil Pandit?
Well, we are speculating right now. We are trying to second guess what the plans are and what they are going to do hereafter. The point is to let a tumor fester and swallow up a state may not be as good as to kill that tumor and do spill some blood, do cause some damage to the healthy tissues, which chemotherapy or radiotherapy does. It's a toss-up. What do you choose? Let this regime, these thugs, swallow up the entire state as they have been doing for the last 50 years. The point is, the uprising was popular. I do not buy this Malabar Hill, Jorbag, Golfling kind of gentry in Iran seeking independence or freedom. 9 big cities, all million plus, and 30 provinces of Iran erupted in unison in December. And they were mowed down with more than 25,000 killings in less than 24 days. If this is not popular uprising, if this is some druggies getting irritated on a Goa beach, then sorry, doesn't add up. Iran has been festering over and over again on these issues. This regime is the most unpopular regime ever in the last 50 years, and Iran is probably right now for action. If not now, then when? You would be shirking responsibility if you let it happen, if you just let it be. When Trump said the help is on its way, the reason was that there was unacceptable spilling of blood in Iran 2 months back. No,
Okay,
I mean, somebody
I think Abhijit would want to respond.
It's the other
Tehseen,
way
1 minute.
around.
Yeah, Srinjoy, yes, quickly.
See, Trump said help is on its way. Right, he did. But the help never came. And that is why a lot of blood got spilled.
Right. Iran's foreign minister has also, among other things, said that Iran does not have missiles capable of reaching the United States. Now, what does that mean? I'll leave it to the expert. But Tehseen, yes, you were saying something.
This idea of a regime change is great. I don't like the Ayatollah. But can you please tell me, predict to me, what is that regime change going to be? Is it going to be the same Iranian military? Is it going to be a democratically elected government? Is it going to be more chaos? Is it going to be more conservatives who take over? It's very easy to sit and say, oh, this is a regime change that we want. How does this work? We already have an unstable neighborhood right now. What is this regime change? These are big words to use. Can you specify? Can we be sure of it? And now the whole regime change is based on a US promise. Once again, weren't these NATO allies also promising Ukraine to give up its nuclear weapons and they would support it? Wasn't US promising Iranian rebellions that they will support them? What is the promise? What is the regime change? These are vague terms that sound great
Sushil
on
Pandit,
English television.
you respond to Tehsin. Abhijit, I'm coming to you after this.
Pranesh, please tell Tehsin that Trump and Netanyahu do not owe it to Tehsin Poonawalla to reveal everything in the midst of a work in progress. Okay, so relax, sit back. You have nothing to do in this except just comment from the sidelines.
Okay, Abhijit.
See, it was very much the drug-snorting classes that even did the Iranian revolution. You know, Tehran is the sex change capital of the Arab world, of the Muslim world, sorry. They're not Arabs at all. Sorry, I apologize to all my Iranian friends. They'll beat me up if I ever if they ever hear I call them Arabs. But they are the sex change capital of the Muslim world. And you know how that happened? A Iranian who was a great supporter of Ayatollah Khomeini, and was already on his estrogen and hormones for, breast development and things like that, went in front of Khomeini when homosexuality and things were banned, opened his chest up and said, how can I be a man? And Khomeini then made this whole sex change thing legal and whatever. Just because things don't happen a certain way where we are doesn't mean that is the way they are where they are. Remember, it was the class that was educated, brought up and palofied by the Shah that turned against him. People forget that. They want you to believe it was all the seminaries in Qum that turned. The seminaries in Qum, in fact, did not turn. They had expelled Ayatollah Khomeini. They had told the Shah, please get rid of this man. The social dynamics of the Iranian revolution were very different from the social dynamics you see out here. Please don't confuse the two. So yes, it was druggies. I actually have family on the ground who took part in those protests. So thank you. I think I know a bit more.
No, but I don't think we should...
Let's also one second. This notion 25,000, koi 25,000 nahi mara tha. 3-4,000 mare the. They've seen the shootings happen. I have videos of the shootings I can show you also.
Okay, gentlemen, I don't think, we should get personal here. Please, we're discussing something serious. Sushil Pandit ji, Abhijit, Tehsin, let's carry on with the conversation, discussion in the right spirit. But then, Abhijit, to that, I come back to that question. If this is not about regime change, then what is this about?
Containing Iran. Containing Iran. Regime change happens. Tell me something, Pranesh. Do you think any regime change that has happened because America doesn't have nasty people in its pocket? You think Saudi Arabia or Qatar or Bahrain don't do the same things to their dissidents that Syria or Libya or whatever did? They do the exact same things. This is politics. This is high politics. This is about the fact that this is a nasty dictatorship which also happens to oppose America and has extended itself a bit too much in its hatred towards Israel to the point where it could not see reason and could not see where the grand bargain had to be made and know how far it could go without imperial overextension. This is not the first time Iran has done it. Iran has done this several times before in its history. You remember what they did to the Mongol ambassadors and what Genghis Khan did to them. You remember the Sassanid emperor who went and captured Cairo and Jerusalem for his own son to kill him and then his empire to collapse 40 years later. This is a standard recurring pattern in Iranian history.
Okay. Mr. Pandit, quickly, Colonel RSN, I'm coming to you next.
See, I think we keep evaluating the current situation in the light of some historical events which may or may not hold good now. The fact that you need to evaluate the current regime in terms of its utility and the risk the world carries in perpetuating them. Clearly, US and Israel have realized that it is unsustainable, untenable for their own security, for the security and stability of the region, and they have come to a conclusion that regime change is the only solution. Now, how they will go about it, what are the pitfalls in it, what are the risks? Probably risks are acceptable to them. They also realize that they have a region to stabilize. They have their allied states, they have their vassal states. They are defending them, in fact. So I don't think that all this has not gone into the calculation and factoring of this initiative. So we need to, of course, we can speculate, we can build scenarios, we can check as to what might happen, what may not happen. But between these two, I'm sure Israel also knows that an unstable Iran is going to cost them a lot. But they also know that a resurrected Hezbollah, a resurrected Houthi, and a resurrected Hamas is going to cost them a lot more. So let's relax. Let's not get too excited.
Saudi Arabia has picked a side. Russians have spoken. The Chinese have spoken. Which way is this going?
No, if I may add to what Sushil Pandit had said, don't forget 26 mosques were destroyed under an Islamic revolutionary regime in the last protest. 26 mosques all over the country. Now that is something, you have to take note. I am not here, for or against the regime. I'm just making a dispassionate analysis. This was absolutely true, that the ball started rolling from, October 7th October, and see how systematically they have gone about it. They finished, the Palestinians, not finished, I would say, destroyed them partially. Then they took on the Hezbollah and then Syria, and then, they have gone for Iran, 12 days of, punitive strikes, whatever it is. And then now after having, degraded them militarily. So they have gone very, very systematically about it. In this Abrahamic Accords was also a move in that direction. So the Americans, whatever you may say, Trump to ye hai, he's a joker, whatever it may say. But in this case, they have gone very, very systematically about the whole affair. So it is not just
one. No one knows what Trump is going to do next. I don't think even his cabinet colleagues have any idea of what his next move is. So, let's see how this unfolds. Gentlemen, I thank all of you for joining us. The news are coming up with Hina Gambhir on the other side. The non-stop coverage on Times Now continues. Please stay with us.